Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. So, guys, you you see this, the title, "The Self Love of Modern Woman, of Modern Women." The self love of modern women. We have heard. All you have to do is throw or rock in any direction, and you will hear these words: manifest, self love, you know, my truth. All of these aggrandized words for a lot of women today. And, I'm not going to lie. If you're a woman, I'm quite sure it makes you feel good to have somebody tell you you are the sugar honey iced tea. And that all you have to do is worry about you and yourself. So to that end, on Friday, I talked about how we're going to talk about Mimi. Mimi, the Mimi generation. Me, I. And if you haven't noticed, I have been going quite a bit on this whole bad chick, boss chick culture. Okay? So on Instagram, I posted several photographs of somebody that I'm sure most people did not know. Her name was Grace Jones. And Grace Jones, I said, for all these boss chick bad, so many overqualified women are proclaiming themselves to be, here's what it looks like. Study and learn. There would be no Little Kim, Nicki Minaj, Eve, Beyonce, or any of these people without Grace Jones. Grace Jones was the original I don't give a F woman. Yes, there's Diane Carroll, Diana Ross, all of these other icons, Dorothy Dandridge and blah, blah, blah. But all those women are much more sophisticated and mainstream. Grace Jones is in a class by herself. Grace Jones is on the level of Freddie Mercury of Queen. Grace Jones is on the level of a Jimi Hendrix and a Prince and a Bob Marley. It is a one-in-a-lifetime person. Somebody who transcends everything. Back in the 70s, Grace Jones was tall, dark-skinned, angular facial structure, and she had an attitude that she destroyed fashion. Anytime Grace Jones was in a fashion show, she destroyed it. These women are talking about walking in. Grace Jones wrecked shit. Then she didn't even know, not only did she do fashion, she did high fashion, better than all the European models. So when I hear black women talking about European beauty standards, Grace motherfucking Jones. She took it to the white girls, as you think, and kicked in their ass in their show. And then she decided, hey, I want to sing. And she had arguably a productive and successful singing rock career. Then she acted. Grace Jones is one of the only people to ever whoop James Bond's ass. Now, that's Grace Jones. I don't give a hot damn about her personal life, who she was screwing, who her scandals. I said, if you want to know what an authentic boss chick, bad chick is, that's what I think of. And that's a high standard. Why is that important? Because when you decide to live a life like Grace Jones, when you decide to live a life at that me, there's a cost. There's a cost for men and there's a cost for women. But unlike most people, Grace Jones knew the cost and she paid it gladly. She paid it gladly. So I'm going to say this to everybody under 40. If you don't know who I posted, I will say the me posting Grace Jones on Instagram and Facebook was both a learning experience and it's also a culture experience. That was some of the most sad responses I've seen. And I'm gonna tell black men and black women alike, you need to do better. Saying that the woman looked like a man, I'm like, she may not be your type. She's definitely not my type. But come on, man. Look at what she did. See, we have a hard time separating whether or not we like somebody with what they did. We got a real problem with that in our community, and that's why I just let it rock out. I tell you, some of the most juvenile responses came out of women's mouths and men's mouths. You told on yourself. And see, that's what I wanted to get. And this is what I'm talking about, the selfishness of modern women. Modern women talk a lot of schnit. But when it gets right down to it, you tell on yourselves all day long. Because in order to be a boss chick, a bad chick, or whatever, you got to be willing to pay the cost. So today we're going to talk about the self-love of the modern woman. The women that came before paved the way for what a lot of women today take for granted. And I want you guys to see what the end of the road tends to look like for modern women who put self first above everything else. Now, you may not like what I'm about to show you. You may not agree, but I'm going to tell you, I find it hard to believe that, well, you know what? I got a better example. I'll just show you better than I can tell you. I'll show you better than I can tell you. Because unless you can outdo these two, you can't really say nothing.
Can anyone live with her?
All right, let's see. There we go. Picture in picture.
Can anyone live with Eartha Kitt? But are you willing to compromise within a relationship?
To compromise? What is compromising? Compromising for what? Compromising for what reason? To compromise? For what? To compromise. What is compromise?
If a man came into your life, wouldn't you want to compromise?
I want you guys to understand something. What you're seeing right now is a woman who actually had the receipts to show that she lived this self-love, my this, my that. And this is what it tends to look like. Tends to look like for far too many of our women. Many people have seen this clip, but I want you to understand what it means.
Was I married 4 times? Yes, I was. I confess I was married I confess I was married 4 times. And the reason I'm smiling is because I spent a lot of time giving the men involved in some of these relationships a very bad reputation. I'm not saying that I ever said anything that wasn't true. It was all true. Except that the reason that this one human being kept choosing selection poor, not able to evaluate whether this should be a friendship or this should be a marriage. I wanted to be married. And so when the opportunity was there to do so, I did it. I had not lived alone.
That's Diane Carroll. And unless you ladies think you can do better than Diane Carroll, that's a 10. And see, let me also talk about this notion of 10. When we rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 means damn near perfect. See, what a lot of women today are doing is they're doing the split thing. They're starting to say, I rate myself as a 10 because I feel bold about myself. But I'm not a 10 as in the terms of perfect. It's bullshit.
Quite frankly, I didn't know how to do that. I'm not sure that I know how to do it today. But I did think that it was time for me to stop and try to answer these questions for myself.
Pay
I
attention.
decided to come back to Los Angeles and learn to live alone.
She decided to come back to Los Angeles at the end of life. After 4 attempts of marriage, a woman who has had more than most of you could ever dream of. And she's facing with some very real things.
About me, not the role I play. And it's difficult to learn to live alone. It's difficult because I'm difficult. I'm not easy to live with.
It's difficult to learn to live alone. It's difficult to live with a selfish woman because selfish women are difficult. Now, you got 2 of the best that ever did it that share your reflection at the end of life. One is humble and reflective and coming at it with humility, and the other is cackling.
You know, you have 3 or 4 choices here that will give you a terrible day or a wonderful day. And there's no one else to blame except you.
No one else.
You're here alone. You can't say he did this or he did that. It's all you. And you don't seem to want to make yourself extremely happy the way you wanted other people to come along to make you extremely happy. Nobody can make you extremely happy but you.
Come on now.
I was an old lady before I understood that.
Boom. I was an old lady before I understood. She started out apologizing to the men that she faulted. 4 chances at it. 4 marriages. This is Diane Carroll we're talking about. And at the end of her life, she had to go back to LA to finally wrestle with the fact that she is a difficult person. And what she has left is nothing except her. So a lot of people say my tone and this and that. I am trying to get so many of you women to understand that this is what it looks like when you are a selfish, self-concerned woman. They have painted the picture that it sounds so good. But unless you are better than Grace Jones, Diane Carroll, Eartha Kitt, Dorothy Dandridge, Lena Horne, the list goes on, you better pay attention. You better pay attention because that's Diane Carroll, an icon. Well, let's hear.
But are you willing to compromise within a relationship?
To compromise? What is compromising? In
her golden years, Look at that look. Compromise. What? And I want you guys to understand the voodoo she's going to pull with words that made so many women say, ooh, she's cold. She's this, she's that. But look in her eyes, ladies. Look in her eyes and ask yourself, do you want this to be your final act?
Compromising for what? Compromising for what reason? To compromise for what? To compromise. What is compromise?
If a man came into your life, wouldn't you want to compromise?
Stupid.
Who believes that laugh? Who believes that laugh was genuine? But when you spent your life at this, it's all you got. This is all they got left. After all of that bad chick, boss chick, selfish, I'm me first, me, I don't care. It's all about me and my bag. This is it. And this is it for two of the best that ever did it. Two of the best that ever did it. Not your middle class self.
A man comes into my life and I have to compromise? You must think about that one again. A man comes into my life and you have to compromise for what? For what? For what? A relationship is a relationship that has to be earned.
Oh, she thought she dropped knowledge. A relationship that has to be earned, meaning a relationship with her has to be earned. You're coming into my life. And that is what so many me, I, selfish modern women are really telling you, gentlemen, that you are not on their level. You are coming into their life. You are coming to their lifestyle. That is why you can have women with children from other men, never married, expecting to get men who are making 6 figures annually, and then expecting strict monogamy and want 100% commitment for a man that they only have to share part of their free time. Part of their free time. Because they are so great and wonderful. Because they are everything. See, this is what so many women, you are talking about equally yoked. When you talk about equally yoked, a man wants equal investment. You need to invest your time and your feminine affects to compensate for his resources. There is no equally yoked with today's modern woman because they don't have the time. I want you to understand attention, but it's that lifestyle. You get to be with Eartha. You get to be with me. Come into my life, my life, my life, my life, my life. Who's in your life?
Not to compromise for. And I love relationships. I think they're fantastic. They're wonderful. I think they're great. I think there's nothing in the world more beautiful than falling in love.
Falling in love.
But falling in love for...
Falling in love. I want you to pay attention to what she's about to say right now. Modern women, this was your grandmother. This was likely your mother. These are the women that gave birth to baby boomers and Generation X. Marcus, Stranger. These are the women that gave birth to this warped thinking of this fantasy of earning and falling in love and, unrequited love and this chaotic pull, up, down, yin, yang. And this is what a chaotic, selfish, modern woman looks like in the end.
The right reason, falling in love for the right purpose, falling in love. Falling in love.
In love.
When you fall in love, what is there to compromise about?
Isn't love
Pay attention.
a union between two people? Or
No.
does Eartha fall in love with herself?
I think
Can anyone live with Eartha Kitt?
that's not for me to decide.
Is love a union between two people, or does Eartha fall in love with Eartha? And that's the trick.
Nothing in the world more beautiful than falling in love. But falling in love for the right reason, falling in love for the right purpose, falling in love. Falling in love.
Look at
You
her.
fall in love.
She looks crazy.
What is there to compromise about?
Love.
Isn't love a union between two people? Or does
Look at-
Eartha fall in love with herself?
I want you guys to look at that look on her face. Look at that. That is a woman who recognizes she's been outed. That is a woman who recognizes she's been outed. Dude. That is a woman who recognizes she has been straight up outed. And she's like, ooh, you got me. You got me, sir. You got me. You got me, sir. Look at the look on her face. That's what it became. That's what it became. Look at that. That's what it became. Ooh, Eartha. She's like, falling in love. What? Me? Falling in love? Who is that? No. You get Eartha. You don't get that. Look at that right there. Look at that. You can't make this shit up, folks. You cannot make this up. You're a mean one, Eartha Kitt. You're a nasty, waspy soul. I mean, shout out to Eartha. Her career, man, she was fearless. But this is what it looks like. That's why I'm like, pay attention. Falling in love. Look at that. In love. You're a mean one. Look at that. That's what it is. Because that's what they got left. There are no more games. There are no more balls. There are no more movie roles. There's just...
I think if you were to think about it in terms of analyzing, yes, I fall in love with myself and I want someone to share it with me.
Boom! Eartha Kitt from the grave. just read you modern women your DNA. You fall in love with yourselves and you want someone to share it with you. Your love, your life, your world, your value, your truth. Every night you are seeing the spirit of Eartha. They want someone to, they're in love with the idea of love, but they fall in love with themselves. That's why they don't know who we are, gentlemen. That's why there's like, what? I only have 2 hours, maybe a day for you, but you need to be waiting for me because I am me. And you're falling in love with me, so you get bored.
I want someone to share me with me.
Share me with me. Look at that look on her face. Look.
Has that happened?
Bye, Waylon! Bye!
No, it hasn't.
Many times. In many.
Has it happened? Hell no, it did not happen. That's why she's yelling at neighbors and her housekeepers and everything else. The dog is barking because the dog is what she was left with. Ladies, I don't sit here to say this stuff to embarrass you, but I just want you to understand that Eartha Kitt was better than you. She had more, but so many women are in love with themselves. Modern women are in love with they're in love with themselves, folks. How else could you get it? You get somebody who can say they don't want to share and they've got children with other men. How else can you get someone who says they don't want to share and they have a whole 1, 2 children? Some have a marriage, have 1 child's father, 2 children's father, a whole career, a pet, family, and then activities. And they want us as men to take a part of a part that's left over. And like Eartha Kitt said, she wants to fall in love. That's a feeling. And she wants somebody to fall, and she wants someone to share the feeling she has when she's in love. And it's about her. Modern women are, and then the selfishness of modern women. The selfishness, and it's called self-love. No, it's not self-love. It's selfish. And that's why I say one of the most insidious things they've told these women, self-love, self-love, self-love. No, you're being selfish. Selfishness of modern women. To where you look at, like I said, I posted Grace Jones up there, and I talked about, if you want to know what a boss chick was, it's Grace Jones. One of the best that ever did it. And she was brash and bold, and she accepted everything that came along with it. And like I said, on Instagram, on Facebook, Facebook was actually Facebook was really sad.
Sorry, I don't know that one.
Facebook was really sad, honestly. I saw some of the most disgusting behavior from us today. And I'm like, man, y'all don't even know who you're talking about. But Grace Jones and Diane Carroll and all those other people, those women were more sophisticates. She was out there. And like I said, when you want to live that way, it comes with trade-offs. Diane Carroll, you look at that Oprah video, 4 marriages. And she said, I did not learn until I was an old woman that the issue was me. And now she spent the last days living alone. If Diane Carroll had to buy a dog, and that's what it means to die alone, folks. Ladies, Diane Carroll. Diane Carroll is better than you will ever be. And she didn't learn until it was too late. So get over the fact that you don't like my tone. My tone is matched with my sense of urgency. That's the problem. Because far too many women today are talking about they want a man on their level, on their terms. And this is this selfishness, this self-love. It means I can ask for the best of the best. I can ask for a millionaire because I'm a 10. Now, I'm not perfect, but I'm a 10 in the fact that I think very highly of myself. No, 10 means you're damn near perfect. So when somebody asks, rate yourself from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, you need to start adding 10 is almost perfect, because women are living this bifurcated life. They're saying, well, I'll call myself a 10 because it's an ego push. But if you say I'm a 10, does that mean there's no room for improvement? You have women that in one breath they'll say they're a 10, and in the next breath they'll say, yes, there's room for improvement. Then you ask a woman, do you like a man that's more down to earth, more humble, or full of himself? More down to earth, humble, but y'all are full of yourselves. The issue with the self-love, the selfishness of so many women today is you cannot be equally yoked with a man, because you cannot give a man one of the things he requires most from you: time. 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 Your time is already given to your life, your purpose, your this, your that, your kids, blah, blah, blah. And you want someone to fall in love with you. Now, you want somebody, just like Eartha Kitt says, Eartha Kitt falls in love with herself, and she wants someone to experience her being in love with herself. Absolutely not. That's why women are so addicted to these lifestyles. So when women say they could get with an average man, that's bullshit. They can't get with an average man because they're not okay with reducing their lifestyle. Women really cannot imagine going backwards. They say it, but in practice, they don't do it. So you think about one thing and you ask yourself, do modern women lack humility?